Is that the moon in the background? Or is she trying to suggest that she has some sort of space transporter she's driving in? I think about these things. Yeah. Up here. Future Nostalgia is the second album released by Dua Lipa, and this has been something that a lot of people have been wanting for a while, ever since Dua Lipa decided to come and surprise the pop world of music. I enjoy very much Dua Lipa as a vocalist. I feel like a lot of other people are kind of loving her a little bit more than me, and maybe that's just a preference of some kind, but I haven't really quarreled with anything that she made previously. So coming into this album, I was curious if I would be more swayed to like her more. There are about 2/3 of this album that I think I can give a little bit more praise than I thought I probably was going to. Not saying I was prejudging, I'm just saying, well, that surprised me in a good way. It was a little hard at the beginning because the title track, Future Nostalgia, is the first song on there. And while it doesn't sound bad, it's only the choruses that I really enjoy. I didn't really care for the verses in that song. Thankfully, things do pick up for the second song, which is the first one I want to highlight, called Don't Start Now. Oddly enough, there was a little bit of a Clean Bandit vibe I found in that song. Not entirely, but something in there reminded me of that. And if you do know me pretty well, that's a big plus in my book. The song Physical, I didn't fall too head over heels for, but I will say in the third verse of that song, it does fade out the production, kind of just goes vocals only, and I think that added a pretty good effect to it. The song Pretty Please might not be the kind of pop song you want to be mainstream, but it's the right kind of pop song that's better than other things that I have experienced lately. You could argue that Break My Heart also works pretty well. Two songs that I do think work really well. These are pop songs that I wish I could love ever so slightly, a little bit more. In my opinion, they do require a radio edit of some kind, but I will highlight them all the same. The first one being Levitating. And the second, Hallucinate. This album is 11 tracks long. 1 through 9, there are quarrels. I'll have little nitpicks here and there, little scattered everywhere. But overall, I think she did a pretty darn good job. And I'm happy to say that because I've been very concerned with pop music. But then the last two songs, the 10th and 11th tracks, these two I don't think were necessary in this album. For one, their musical vibe I just don't felt worked well. They weren't compatible with this album whatsoever. But secondly, the lyrical content I just don't get behind. And one, I actually think not just like musically bad, but I'm just like, no, this is bad. The first song being Good in Bed. Yeah, I don't need a song about this. I don't. It's a little stupid and a little too plain simple from some kind of perspective, and I just don't need it in this album. And then the very last song, Boys Will Be Boys. This song, unfortunately, kind of takes a socio-political direction, and I don't really like talking about this too often, but because this song is the last song in this album, I'm just going to put it out there. This is not a good way to end your album, nor is it really a song that I felt like was needed, especially since it kind of alienates a part of her listening demographic. And I don't think she's taking a hit at that actual demographic. I think she's trying to get a message out. But the thing is, the message revolves around that demographic, and I don't think it works out when you look at it that way. I've said this many times, songs that focus more on a message rather than the music, I'm not interested. Whichever side of the spectrum you roll around, I don't think it works. It's not artistic. It becomes an unmeritable, social damaging propaganda, to label it lightly. Again, I don't think Dua Lipa is actually trying to take aim at anyone that she would consider one of her fans, but I think she may believe partially in the message. Okay, so just wanting to get my comments out there. Aside from those two songs and my nitpicks, I'm actually pretty impressed. I'm actually very relieved that a pop album like this exists. For the majority of the content and production that is created, this is actually a direction I'm glad that we're getting. So thank you, Dua Lipa, for the majority of this album that I have enjoyed. I'm very curious what everyone else thinks about this album, because I know that there's a lot of people who have been anticipating what she will do next after her first album and exposure to the mainstream world has been. So after having listened and reviewed this album, with production of 86%, creativity 77%, expression and lyrics 68%, I'm going to give this album a good. If those two songs weren't included in here, I would be wondering if this album could have possibly been a yeah. The lyrical content and those two songs could have brought this down to just an okay, but I think because I'm overall satisfied, it can meet a good middle ground. So good is what I think is perfect for this album at the moment. If I stirred up any ideas, please share your comments or thoughts with me down below, respectfully. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching. And remember, if you want to discover, promote, and review the best in entertainment, remember to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that good stuff down below so you can get that yes in your life. See you next time.
Don't show up, don't come out, don't start caring about me, no.